Welcome to another episode of the Smiles Ahead podcast, powered by Burrow Welchel Culp Orthodontics. Today, we're talking about the popular topic of elastics or rubber bands. So if you've had braces, you've had Invisalign, you probably know what I'm talking about. If not, you might have heard of them. You might have seen some friends with them, but not quite sure why we torture you with those or why we would ever wear those or what the deal is. So, of course, in this first minute, we're going to go and explain the really short version, and then we'll get into some details. So, long story short, the way the orthodontic treatment works is the first couple months. So 4 to 6 months, you're straightening the teeth. That's the fun part, getting everything in the right place. After that, we also have to get the teeth to fit together well. This is for long-term health. This is to get that bite comfortable. This is so you don't have any kind of traumatic bite when we get finished up that could, over a long period of time, hurt the teeth. And this is where those rubber bands or elastics come into play. So we use the upper arch against the lower arch. So you have a little elastic that you would put in from the top arch on a tooth to the bottom arch, and that really moves those teeth to move together in unison so that they can fit together well. So now you have a complete puzzle. Long story short, we got to get the teeth straight, and we got to get the teeth to fit together well. The elastics, super important on getting those teeth to fit together well. So now let's go into a little bit more detail. The biggest questions we get are, when do we start wearing these? How long do we have to wear them in terms of duration of treatment, in terms of duration during day? So let's start with that one. When are we going to start these elastics? Most of the time, as I was kind of alluding to before, you have first couple months of your treatment is what we consider the fun part. Whether it's elastics or braces or, Invisalign, whatever the treatment modality may be, it's what's called level and aligning. This is where the teeth just straighten up and basically get into the right position on their individual arch. So you're not necessarily worried about where the lower teeth are compared to the upper, vice versa. Now, I will say there are cases where you would start your elastics maybe even the first day. So there's 10 to 15% where you have certain type of bites that are going to require those elastics a little bit early. But for the most part, the first 4 to 6 months, you're going to be able to get used to wearing your Invisalign, your braces, keep them clean, do what you're supposed to be doing, get them straight, get some spaces closed, get those teeth close to the right position. And then we're going to work on getting the coordination of the arches. So we want the upper arch to coordinate with the lower arch and that puzzle piece to snap in together and fit in really nicely. So that's when we would start the elastics, typically about a couple visits in. Now, duration of how long you wear those while you're wearing them. It's a lot like we talk about Invisalign. You have to wear those 18 to 22 hours a day for them to efficiently move the teeth. This is the exact same thing with elastics. They can't be used intermittently. If they're used just at night, we're not going to get much active movement. The real active movement comes in that 18 to 22 hour slot. So now we'll jump into a little bit more detail of why that is. Because people are going, well, if I wear them for a few hours here, and if I sleep in them, that's like 8 hours. That should be enough. That's wearing them a lot, right? Well, the biology behind it is you have some what's called osteoclast, and that is what resorbs the bone. And you have osteoblast, and that's what lays down more bone. So when you're moving a tooth, you have your periodontal ligament that holds that tooth in the bone. And in that ligament, lives these cells that when there's pressure put on the tooth, the osteoclasts are saying, okay, we got to resorb some bone because this tooth is pushing this way and wants to go in that position. So that cell resorbs it, and on the back end, you got an osteoblast that's going, well, we don't want to lose any bone. Let's lay down some more bone. So that's how the process of the tooth movement works, essentially. And the thing about these cells is I wouldn't call them lazy, but they take a little bit of time to wake up. So if you put some pressure on a tooth, they're not just going to automatically start doing their job. They need to get going, kind of like us in the morning. Things start off a little slow and then start rolling. So they need a couple hours to what we call wake up and start doing their job. That means, say you wear your elastics for a couple hours and then you take them out for 4. Well, they're just starting to wake up and they haven't had a chance to work yet. Then you take them out and then they rest again. Then you put them back in for a couple hours. They're just waking up, then they rest again. You're not getting any active movement. What you need is, consistently throughout the day, have those rubber bands in. Now, if you break for a 30-minute meal or you take them out to, have a drink other than water, no problem. You just get them right back in. That's not going to stop your clock. What really stops your clock is when you only wear them for 2 hours and you don't wear them for 8 hours. Then you wear them for only 2 hours and then you sleep in them and think that it's going to get the progress that you need. So we always tell people, if you're not going to go all in on this, you might as well not go at all, because it's not going to move the teeth and it's not going to get the result and that healthy bite that we want. So that's why we're so inclined on every time you come in, if you have your elastics, how was your elastics? Where are you wearing them? How many hours a day? We don't really try to quiz you and drill you, but it's just that important to us that we know that you understand why we make you wear them so long. So we have the duration of treatment, about 4 to 6 months in, you're probably going to start that bite correction. That usually lasts another 3 to 4 months. So a couple of visits, if you're wearing them really well, that usually is enough to lock in that bite. So that's real exciting. You can get that done pretty quickly if you follow the rules. Now, don't be discouraged if that first time you come back and you just haven't been wearing them well. Maybe life hit you in the face, or, maybe you lost them, or whatever the case may be. Just go ahead and tell your orthodontist that so we can get back on track. What you don't want to do is say, yeah, I've been wearing them all the time. And then the orthodontist say, well, we need to look at something else, maybe the force factor. And just have the wrong information. We want all the information. And then that way we can guide you into getting the best result that you need. So 4 to 6 months into treatment, start wearing those. You're going to wear them 18 to 22 hours a day as prescribed by your orthodontist. And then if you wear them really well, we get to the end of treatment, you can go to what we call nighttime wear only. And when we talked about if you're only wearing them at night, it's no good, but it can be good for stability. So say you get, your bite's a little off, you wear them as prescribed, you lock in that bite, perfect bite. We don't want to just pull the braces off at that point because they might go back to where they were. Nobody wants them again. So what we do is an appointment or two where we're just getting stability. And this is where you just wear them at nighttime and just hold that bite that we've accomplished. And once you get to that point, you're finishing up and everything's great. So the reason behind wearing these elastics is, like we've talked about, it's so important. The fun part is really getting your teeth straight, the aesthetic part of it. Everybody wants that. But what we know is it's so important to get those teeth fitting together correctly. And that's why limited treatment can be fine. If we have one little tooth that's off and people say, well, can I just do the lower arch? My upper arch is fine. If it's one small little tooth, a lot of times we can discuss that, talk about it, pros and cons. But if it's pretty exaggerated, say moderate crowding to severe extreme crowding on one of the arches, but the other arch doesn't quite look as bad, the reason that we would say, hey, let's go on the upper and the lower is for that very reason of not only getting that one arch that's crowded and, has a severe problem looking better, but also getting that arch to fit with that other arch, because that's going to be where your real stability and real health comes into play. And of course, we know over a long period of time, that's going to be one of the most important things. Everybody wants pretty teeth. But what's good pretty teeth? If you're hitting them in a bad way and start getting recession, then you have to start having more dental problems, cracking teeth, all these different things. So if we think about elastics, they are there to anchor against the top arch to the bottom arch to make those teeth fit together well, get that puzzle piece fitting nice, getting that bite not only healthy, but more comfortable. If you're hitting all your teeth at one time, you're going to have less likely jaw pain. You're going to have less likely to have any problems with clenching. You're going to have less likely to have wear on your enamel. If you're only hitting on a few teeth, those teeth take the brunt of everything and you start getting some of these other issues. So these elastics can really help with that. And, there's nothing around it. They're not too fun to wear. It's just another added thing to something that you probably weren't too keen on doing anyway. So we put these braces on, we put these Invisalign, and then we ask you to add something yourself. So we give you a little bit of homework. But that's the importance of it, and that's why we harp so much on, are you wearing your elastics? Are you wearing your rubber bands? How are you wearing them? And that's another thing. People always say, well, where will these go? And everybody's different because everybody's bite's a little bit different. So you'll hear our terms are like class 2 elastics, class 3 elastics, box elastics. We even have what's called Nike swooshes or half rainbows. The good thing is you don't have to worry too much about that because your orthodontist and their team there will explain exactly how to wear them. What we recommend is you take a quick pic of that because everybody's got their phone. Get your phone out, have them put it in the right place, take a pic, because we all know we're in the doctor's office. You think you understand something, but you want to get out and get on with life so quickly. Sometimes you get there and a couple hours later, boom, you forgot. So you can reference that picture, look at the teeth they're on, and be certain that it's the right teeth. If for whatever reason you forgot that, you can always call up. We have it happen all the time, and we're glad to explain exactly how to wear them. If you don't feel comfortable over the phone, you can always swing back in and be like, hey, is this right? We'll check it real fast and ensure that your correction. Our office, too, you can also send a picture, and we can give you a real quick text back. Yep. Or, hey, nope, that's the wrong way. Let's change them to these teeth. Come on in. Let's check it out. So to wrap everything up, we have the progression of treatment is typically this. We're going to use that first 4 to 6 months to get the teeth essentially close to the right place. Then we're going to start working on that bite and how those teeth come together from the upper arch to the lower arch. That's where these elastics come into play and are a huge deal. So make sure you listen to your orthodontist. Make sure you wear them. We know they're a pain, but you got to wear them that 18 to 22 hours a day. And your duration of wearing them is typically in that 4 to 6 month slot. If we're wearing them well, that's only a couple of appointments. So if you go hard in the paint when you're supposed to, you can get that done. Then you're just popping them in at nighttime, get stability, get your braces off, have an awesome aesthetic looking smile, and then most importantly, have a nice, healthy smile that fits together really well. And that kind of wraps it up on elastics. If there's any questions, your orthodontist will be glad to answer them, I'm sure. We get a lot of questions on them while we're wearing them, how long we got to wear them, all that good stuff. When we get complaints, we can sometimes explain why it's working and what it's going to do towards the end helps. So that's why we wanted to shoot this podcast here. But come on down and see us. We'll be glad to explain anything. Hit us up in the comments section. Make sure we subscribe, and we will see you next week with some other cool topics. Thanks for listening to the Smiles Ahead podcast powered by Burrow Welchel Culp Orthodontics. Be sure to leave a rating, hit that subscribe button, and if you have more questions, you can reach out to me directly at sam@bwcortho.com. That's sam@bwcortho.com. You can also visit our website, bwcortho.com, and we will be happy to answer any questions you might have.